Let's begin with silence. And feeling into our altruistic motivation for this session. It helps us to tune into that phenomenon of the whole ocean and all of its waves, including each of us as a wave, feeling our oceanness and our genuine caring for all of our fellow waves. I often feel like I'm on the front lines for everybody in samsara, having this special opportunity to practice these amazing gifts from the Buddha for helping us to wake up. And so we do it for everyone. Buddha means one who's awake. So as we were just doing that little bit of a reflection on, the whole ocean leading to our particular altruistic motivation, we're going from ultimate bodhicitta, or absolute bodhicitta, as I like to call it, and relative bodhicitta. So from the, underlying the unity of all and that underlying truth that is absolute, we then go to the much more particularized, the waves part of the ocean kind of altruistic motivation that gets more specific. So they call it relative truth because it's not that unified space. For example, to a fish, water is what you breathe. If we tried to breathe water, we would have a problem, right? So that's just a simple example of two perceptions of one thing that are different from each other. And so that kind of thing is going on all the time at the surface level of the ocean, because from this point of view, it looks like this, and from that point of view, it looks like that. And if you want more examples, you can just read the news, right? All kinds of points of view. Or if any of us has been in a relationship and we're trying to work something out, and supposedly, we're all, neither of us is a fish, we're both humans, and yet there are different points of view, and they can really seem like this is true. No, this is true. And so they call it relative truth and absolute truth as well. And you can't let go of one for the sake of the other. So if we only focus on relative truth and never focus on absolute truth, so we're just at the surface level of the ocean and never the depths and the vastness of our common source, we're missing a part of ourselves and each other. And we're missing a whole part of reality that is essential. On the other hand, I had a friend who was a deep practitioner of Zen. She was actually a Zen nun. And she was in retreat with a Roshi, so an abbot. And she was so in the absolute truth in her meditations, in this retreat in the mountains and everything. She came to him at a break, to have an interview. And she said, it's all just one truth. And she was talking from the absolute truth point, and she was just in that state. And he said, oh, yeah? Then what is this? And he grabbed her nose and pinched it hard. And she was like, oh yes, relative truth. So, both and. It's very difficult to hold all of that. And yet, I suggest it's a good idea not to let go of either. So in our tradition, we have this saying, not is, not isn't, not both, not neither. So we can't say that relative truth, things being solid as they appear to us and so on, that is it. That is the final word on truth. We can't say that nothing exists and it's sort of like that Zen none and it's just, kind of this pregnant emptiness all the time and that's it. Because we're experiencing something like her nose, for example. But can we say it's both at the same time? They don't quite work like that. But we can't say that it's neither because we're experiencing something. So that's why the saying, not is, not isn't, not both, not neither. So there's no easy answer. Instead, we just keep doing these practices, bringing ourselves to the point where we can see reality as it is on its own terms. And slowly but surely, we can hold the truth of this whole ocean in both its absolute and its relative aspects. So again, I took you on a journey very quickly at the beginning of this session from ultimate or absolute bodhicitta. So that's that, how can I say this? That feeling of ultimate connection within the depths of the ocean. And then relative bodhicitta, which is, we're on the front lines doing our best for all of our sentient being friends out there on the ocean. So there's a little dharma for you. So now our theme for this session before the break is loving kindness, the practice of loving kindness. And that's one of these 4 avenues to connection, these 4 boundless qualities, the 4 immeasurables. So loving kindness is so simple, it's difficult to explain, right? If we're, feeling our natural connection with all and everyone, then we're going to feel caring naturally. And we already have that intrinsically. We have some capacity for that. So there are those people around us in our lives, some animals, who we care about. We want to make sure they're okay. And we don't want them to suffer and we want them to be happy and all of those things. And we feel affection for them. But that's very limited and preferential. And it's still ego-driven because it's about my people or my animals or whatever, my family, my this, my that. So from I to my is not a huge step. And we want to step it out quite a bit more. And that expands our capacity for loving kindness. So we're going to do this much the way we've done the other ones, which is we start with ourselves and then we step it out to those we easily care for and then those we don't really think much about. So we don't really care so much. And that's the truth of it. We pass by people all the time who we don't care about. They're not our concern. Once again, that's coming from the point of view of ego, isn't it? If it's not my people, I don't need to worry about it. And who do I decide is my people anyway? Like my friends, well, they're people who make me feel good. I just feel good being around them or something. And if I don't feel good being around them, well, then I just won't have them as my friends. And so I don't need to care about them. So that's still ego clinging. and we're practicing that all the time. So here we have the opportunity to expand our capacity from just those we easily care about to those we don't normally think about, and see if we can just again have that tide rolling out ever stronger and stronger until we're caring for more and more beings, until finally it's all and everyone, which is the natural state of things, right? If we were fully living from the point of view of the whole ocean, which includes this wave and that, all of you waves, all of us waves, then we would feel 100% loving and caring for all beings. And we would feel that direct connection. I'm thinking again of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who I told you hugged those 300 high school kids, along with a few adults who came along. We all wanted our hugs too. And he just was fully present for each and every person he hugged. Just watching that was such a teaching. So we're starting where we're starting, though, just a little bit this side of Dalai Lama. And that's okay. We've already got some innate loving and caring, and we're going to expand it. So the way we do this is we'll say a few phrases, and I will talk you through it. We're going to wish for all of our beloveds, which is eventually going to be everybody. May you be safe. May you be well. May you be at peace. May you be joyful. So those are the 4 phrases. And I believe they're in the book that we're selling on the table, FYI, so that you can practice this at home. And you'll never guess who we start with. Anybody want to hazard a guess? Yes?
Our dogs.
Our dogs. Yes, start with your dog. Yeah, we start with ourselves. Then our dogs. If you're like me. And so we step it out from there. And again, this can be somewhat challenging to wish ourselves well. We may feel, oh, that's selfish, or I'm not worthy, or all of the other programming that we've taken in. And here's a chance to reconsider. We couldn't examine everything that we were programmed with in childhood growing up, and that we get programmed with all the time from society. Again, expanding our capacity for loving kindness. I will talk you through it, but I'll tell you that one thing I do that personally helps me with this practice is I imagine I'm in front of this person and we're smiling at each other, and then we embrace. So yes, there are the phrases, but if you keep it sort of in your head with words, I don't think it's going to be as strong a felt experience. And so that's why I add the tactile sensory input. So we activate that as well. And for me, then it's a much more in the bones, in the heart experience. By the way, Thich Nhat Hanh talked about smiling as being such an important practice. And I guess in the same vein as fake it till you make it, while you're practicing this, you might try really, incorporating smiling into the practice. As I said, I imagine somebody there and we're smiling at each other, and then we're embracing, this kind of thing. And it turns out neuroscience has validated that just the act of smiling brings the associated feeling with it. So we always think it has to go from one direction, but it can actually go from the other direction as well. The brain works on association, so you can sort of tug on either end of that string, and it connects both things.